10 years from now, most people watching this will be in a worse financial position than they are today. Not because of bad luck, not because of the economy, not because of things outside their control, because of one thing. They didn't change anything. They kept the same habits, the same system, the same relationship with money, and got the same result. Just 10 years later, with 10 fewer years to fix it. Now, here's the uncomfortable part. Most of those people know this. On some level, they know they should be doing something differently. They felt it, thought about it, maybe even planned it. But they didn't start. Not really, not consistently. And that gap between knowing and doing, between planning and starting, is exactly what this video is about. Because 10 years will pass. For everyone. The question is not whether time moves, it's what you build while it does. Let's look at the data, not predictions, not theories. What actually happened to people over the last decade? In 2014, surveys showed that roughly 60% of Americans had less than $1,000 in savings. 10 years later, in 2024, that number had barely moved. Still more than half of adults living without a meaningful financial cushion. Despite a decade of economic growth, despite historically low unemployment periods, despite rising wages in many sectors, the income went up. The savings didn't follow. Because income alone doesn't build savings, system does. And the system most people were running in 2014 was the same system they were running in 2024. Earn, spend, hope. Same inputs, same outputs. 10 years older. Now project that forward. Another 10 years. Same system. Same pattern. Same result. Just 10 years closer to the point where the options run out, where the body can't work as hard, where the income starts to decline, where the decisions made in the past become the reality of the present. That's the proof, not a prediction, a pattern, already visible, already documented, already happening. Let's make this personal. 2 people, right now, today, both 35 years old, both earning $50,000 a year, both starting with 0 savings. Person A changes nothing. Same habits, same spending, same relationship with money. In 10 years, person A is 45, still earning around $50,000, maybe a bit more, still with minimal savings, still living paycheck to paycheck, with 20 fewer working years ahead. And the financial pressure, that was manageable at 35, now feels urgent at 45. Person B makes one change, just one. They redirect $300 a month into a simple investment account, 8% average annual return. In 10 years, person B has $54,914 from $300 a month, from one decision, made today. Same income, same starting point. 10 years later. Person A, approximately $0 saved. Person B, $54,914 growing. And the gap doesn't stop there, because person B's system keeps running. At 55, person B has $174,000. At 65, person B has $440,000 from $300 a month, from one decision, made at 35. Person A made no decision and got exactly what no decision produces. Nothing. First objection. You can't predict the future. The economy could crash. Investments could lose value. 10 years from now, everything could be different. And you're right. The economy is unpredictable. Markets go up and down. Things happen that nobody expected. But here's what's also true. The alternative to investing in an unpredictable market is keeping money in a predictable account that predictably loses value to inflation. Every year. Guaranteed. The choice is not between risk and safety. The choice is between different kinds of risk, visible risk and invisible risk. The market might drop. That's visible. Scary, but usually temporary. Markets recover. Over 10-year periods, the stock market has never produced a negative return, not once in recorded history, over any 10-year window. Inflation, on the other hand, guaranteed erodes your savings. Every year, without exception. So the question is not, should I take a risk? The question is, which risk has the better historical outcome? The answer is clear. Here's the real question. If the data is this clear, if the math is this straightforward, why don't people change? 3 reasons. Reason 1. The future doesn't feel real. 10 years from now is abstract. Today's expenses are concrete. Today's desires are immediate. The brain is wired to prioritize now, not later. And financial building is entirely about later, which makes it feel optional, until it isn't. Reason 2. Starting feels overwhelming. People don't know where to begin, so they don't begin anywhere. They wait until they understand more, or have more money, or feel more ready. And the waiting becomes permanent. Not from laziness, from not having a clear first step. Reason 3. Progress is invisible. When you work out, you feel it. When you diet, you see it. When you build financially, for the first 6 months, nothing visible changes. The numbers in the account grow slowly, too slowly to feel like progress. And without visible progress, the motivation disappears, and the habit breaks before the results arrive. Second objection. $300 a month sounds manageable for some people, but I genuinely cannot do that right now. My expenses don't leave that much, and I want to take this seriously, because margins are real. Not everyone has $300 extra. But here's what I want you to consider. The math works at any number. $100 a month at 8% over 10 years is $18,295. $50 a month is $9,147. $20 a month is $3,659. These numbers aren't retirement, but they're not nothing. They're the beginning of a different financial identity. And financial identity matters, because the person who moves $20 a month thinks differently about money than the person who moves nothing. They make different decisions. They notice different opportunities. They build different habits. And those habits grow with income. So when income increases, the habit is already there, already directing money somewhere intentional. The amount is not the point. The direction is. Start with whatever direction is possible and build from there. Most people know about financial compounding. Money growing on money. But there's another kind of compounding that nobody talks about. Habit compounding. Every financial decision you make influences the next one. When you redirect $50 a month, you start thinking of yourself as someone who invests. And people who think of themselves as investors look for more opportunities to invest. They notice things differently. They make slightly better decisions. And those slightly better decisions compound over months, over years, into a fundamentally different financial life. The reverse is also true. Every month, you don't start, reinforces the identity of someone who doesn't. And that identity makes the next month easier to skip, and the month after, until not starting becomes who you are. Not a decision you're making, just the default. And defaults are the most powerful force in personal finance. Not discipline, not willpower, not knowledge. Defaults. What happens automatically, without a decision being made. Change the default. Change the outcome. Last objection, the most common one. Things are complicated right now. I'll start when this situation resolves. Next month will be better. After this expense clears, I'll begin. I want you to look at that sentence carefully. I'll start when things settle down. When did things last settle down? Really? When was the last period of your life where everything was stable, expenses were predictable, stress was low, and conditions were perfect for starting something new? For most people, that period doesn't exist. Or if it did, something else came along. Because life doesn't settle, it just continues. With different complications, different pressures, different reasons to wait. And waiting for conditions that never arrive is how 10 years pass without a single change. The right conditions are not coming. You have to start inside the wrong conditions, with the complications present, with the stress existing, with the imperfect circumstances surrounding you, because that's the only version of starting that's available. And it's enough. 10 years from now, you will be somewhere. The question is where. Here's what the next 10 years look like if nothing changes. Same habits, same spending, same relationship with money. 10 years older. 10 years closer to the point where options narrow. And here's what they look like if one thing changes. One redirection. One automatic transfer. One asset started. One system running. 10 years from now, not rich, probably not financially free, but different, meaningfully different, with something built, with a system running, with options that didn't exist before, with a foundation that the next 10 years can build on. The difference between these two futures is not talent, not luck, not income. It's one decision, made today, repeated consistently, for 10 years. That's it. That's the whole thing. Here's the proof. Most people will be in the same financial position in 10 years, because most people will do the same things for 10 years. The same habits, the same defaults, the same relationship with money, and the same result. You don't have to be most people, not because you're special, not because you have advantages others don't, but because you're watching this, which means you already know something is wrong. And knowing something is wrong is the first step to fixing it. The second step is starting. Today. Not tomorrow. Not when things settle. Not when you have more money. Today. With what you have. In the time you have. Building what you can. Because 10 years will pass either way. The only question is what you'll have built when they do. The system is simple. Start today. Stay consistent. The decision is yours.